In 1945, on Christmas night in West Virginia, America, an incident happened that even today, if remembered, sends shivers down the spine. A man named George Sodder, his wife Jenny Sodder, and their 10 beloved children were celebrating Christmas. Every face was lit up with joy, but who knew that this night would turn into a nightmare that remains an unsolved mystery to this day. It happened around 1 o'clock in the night, when a fire suddenly broke out in the house. George and Jenny ran out with their 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping in the room upstairs disappeared forever. Neither their bodies nor any other trace was ever found. Did they really burn in the fire, or were they kidnapped? Was this fire really an accident, or was it a planned arson? Welcome back to another video on News Lens. Viewers, this is not just a story, but a mystery that continues to baffle the world even today. Let's try to understand every aspect of this unsolved mystery. George Sodder was a hard-working Italian immigrant who was strongly opposed to the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. This was the reason why he was forced to leave Italy and live in America. Speaking openly against the Italian dictator could have been trouble for him, but he never showed fear. In America, he ran a trucking business and was fortunate enough to own his own home. His wife, Jenny Sodder, was a dedicated housewife who raised her children with love and discipline. On December 24, 1945, Christmas Day, the Sodder children were playing with their new toys. Night falls, and the 5 children go to sleep in their beds upstairs. Around 1 a.m., Jenny senses smoke in the house. When she goes to check, she finds that a fire has broken out in the kitchen. George and Jenny escape with their 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping upstairs remain trapped inside. George tried every possible way to save them. When George Sodder ran towards the second-floor window, he found his ladder missing. Then he thought he would use his coal truck to reach the window, but when he turned on the ignition, the truck wouldn't start, and his other truck wasn't working either. The people present tried to call the Fayetteville Fire Department, but unfortunately, there was no answer. Later, when they somehow contacted the fire chief, the fire brigade arrived hours after the incident. Everyone assumed that the fire had started due to some reason, and the 5 children had perished in it. But this case was as complicated as it seemed normal to see and hear. The next morning, when the investigation began, the officials made similar statements and closed the case. They said that the children had burned to death due to the fire, but it was beyond everyone's comprehension, because human bones cannot turn to ash even at a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius, especially the parts of bones that contain calcium, including human teeth. They don't even turn to ash inside a furnace. So how was it that in the fire at the Sodder house, not 1, not 2, but all 5 children's bones and teeth were missing? Later, forensic investigation also confirmed that the duration and intensity of the fire were not enough to turn bones to ash. This was quite suspicious, so the Sodder family immediately rejected the investigation report. The investigation team attributed the cause of the fire to a short circuit in the kitchen, but George Sodder said that he had recently replaced all the wiring, and there was no question of any fault in it. When George Sodder tried to recall the moments of the incident, he also remembered some things that indicated something was wrong. When he picked up the phone to call the fire brigade at the time of the fire, the wire was cut, and it was also proven in the investigation that someone had indeed cut the phone line to the Sodder house from outside, because when a phone line breaks or is cut, its edges are not smooth, but when cut with pliers, the edges appear quite smooth. Later, Jenny Sodder remembered that just at 12:30, the house phone had rung, and there was a woman on the other side who was laughing loudly, to which Jenny replied wrong number and hung up. If the phone line was cut at 1 o'clock, and just half an hour before that, there was a strange call on it, it means that the phone line was cut half an hour before the fire. This night was full of strange events. First, the phone call, and then, a few minutes before the fire, Jenny also heard the sound of something falling on the roof. When she didn't hear anything further, Jenny turned over and went back to sleep, and within minutes, she smelled smoke. Apart from this, the ladder that George used to keep was missing from its place at the time of the incident and was recovered from a field far away from the house. Both of George's trucks, which were working perfectly fine until the day before. How did both of them break down at the time of the fire? Due to all these incidents, George Sodder's suspicion turned into certainty that his children were not dead but had been kidnapped. But how could anyone escape with them in such a commotion? When the investigation? Here's the answer. A few months before this incident, an insurance agent had come to George Sodder, who was insisting on him getting home insurance. But when Sodder flatly refused to take the insurance, the agent finally threatened Sodder, saying that you will realize this when your house catches fire. Did someone use the fire to divert people's attention and kidnap the children at the same time? The second theory is that George Sodder's open statements against the Italian dictator Mussolini did not go down well with the Italian mafia. Because of this, the Italian mafia targeted him and took his children under their control. Some people even claim to have seen the Sodder children in different places after the fire. One woman said that she saw the children in a hotel with a strange couple. Other reports say that they were said being taken away in a car. So many people, so many stories. It was confirmed that the Sodder children did not die because of the fire. So where did they go? A year after the incident, some new evidence comes to light. The investigation team, which had earlier attributed the cause of the fire to a short circuit, was proven wrong. The new investigation revealed that the fire was deliberately set. At that time, a bus driver was passing by, who said that he saw some people throwing something like a fireball. A few months later, when the snow melted, a round, rubber-like object was also found near the house, which is called a pineapple bomb. Jenny remembered the sound from a few minutes before the fire, which she had heard due to something falling on the roof. Maybe it was this pineapple bomb. George and Jenny spent their lives trying to find the answer to this mystery. They left no stone unturned and followed every possible lead. They built a large billboard with pictures of the missing children and a promise of a reward. Almost 20 years later, in 1960, Jenny receives a letter. This letter contained a picture of a man who looked a lot like their son Louis, and the letter simply said, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie." Was this letter really written by one of the 5 missing children, or was it a prank? George and Jenny hired a private detective to investigate this letter, but no trace of Louis Sodder was found. Years passed one by one, but this mystery could not be solved. George Sodder died in 1969. Jenny and their surviving children continued to search for answers about their missing siblings. After George's death, Jenny did not leave the family home. She installed fencing around the house and built new rooms. For the rest of her life, she always wore black due to grief. After Jenny's death in 1989, the family finally took down the old and worn-out billboard that had been put up for the missing children. Were the Sodder children victims of a tragedy or part of a larger conspiracy? This is a secret that will probably never be solved. Hope you guys will like and share this video of News Lens. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. See you in the next amazing video.